Hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing really well. Welcome to 4th December Daily Decodes at Insights IAS. I welcome you all. There is so much of love, appreciation and a very good feedback which we are getting on this series. Thank you very much for this stupendous feedback, and this will only motivate us to even work harder for you guys in terms of creating content which helps in your preparation for your upcoming examination. With this wonderful thought and with this feedback you are giving, let's move to important news for today. But before that, let's move for the thought for the day. Rather than for thought for the day, today we are celebrating the Indian Navy Day. So I've taken a quote from Indian Navy, and we should be thankful to our security forces who 24/7 and throughout the year they have been guarding for not only for this year, for years and decades they have been doing it. They have won battles for us. So quote which is dedicated to Indian Navy: from the ocean to the sand, I adore this land, I salute the men in white. Happy Indian Navy Day to everyone. So today's 4th of December, we also celebrate the Indian Navy Day today. So happy Indian Navy Day to everyone. Good morning to everyone, and I hope that you also wish a happy Navy Day to everyone. So in today's lecture, we will also talk about a little bit about the about Indian Navy and why Navy Day is celebrated on 4th of December. It can come as a question also, and also something related to wildlife also we'll talk about. Okay, that is your World Wildlife Conservation Day. Okay, let me see. I think a little bit of light is left. Let me just check that. So I think we are just checking on the lights if the light is fine. Uh, that is why. Now it will be, I think the light would be better now because I can see myself. Initially the light of the video was low. Now it is perfectly fine. And good morning everyone. I think the light must have increased. Let me check that. Yes, now it is better. So thank you very much, Madhu, for helping me out in this. Now, India and China have set ties on the right track, that is External Affairs Minister. So, important statement has come from External Affairs Minister. He has given this statement in the Parliament. What he has spoken on Indo-China, we'll talk about it. Dhaka summons Indian envoy after security breach at Agartala mission. Now, hypocrisy of Dhaka, Bangladesh, Pakistan becoming something like similar. Bangladesh trying to talk to China. So when vandalism is continuously happening at their place, they don't want to talk about it, but that's not with India. When you talk about India, we take our business of security very seriously. So at this point of time, Indian envoy has been called, and he has again spoken about good and healthy relations with India and Bangladesh and how India is helping. In prelims decode, we'll talk about World Wildlife Conservation Day and Indian Navy Day. Center proposes 95% government job reservation for locals in Ladakh. You must have seen from Sonam Wangchuk to many other Ladakhi academicians, leaders, they were continuously talking about that statehood should be given to Ladakh. Right now, statehood has not been given, but a lot of important proposals have been made by the central government, which are a welcome from Ladakhi and Kargil groups. In editorial, we'll talk about preparing for the worst on Cyclone Fengal, the future of the Cyclone Fengal, which destroyed a lot of area near Puducherry and Tamil Nadu. We'll talk about it and how at the state level and central level collaboration is needed. And as the climate change is having impact, tropical cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons, they're increasing like anything. So it is important that mitigation methods and solutions should be worked upon before we get into a problem that there is no coming out. Then we have Q&A today in tidbits also. We have a lot of important information we'll talk about. So let's start with the first, let's understand about the Indian Navy Day. So Indian Navy Day is celebrated on 4th of December. Why it is celebrated on 4th of December? Because we successfully completed or did the Operation Trident, in which we were able to demolish or destroy the Pakistan destroyer ship PNS Khaibar. Okay, PNS Khaibar. This was at Karachi port. Okay, so on this day, Indian Navy boldly attacked Pakistan's main city, Karachi, and Indian Navy basically attacked their Pakistani destroyer ship PNS Khaibar. India used anti-ship missile for the first time, and it was a one important strike operation in which the Karachi port and the ships there were decimated. And on this particular achievement of Indian Navy, on 4th of December 1971, at that point of time, Operation Trident during the 1971 Indian-Pakistan War. After that, we celebrate 4th of December as the Indian Navy Day. Apart from that, Indian Navy has 3 warships, INS Nipat, INS Nirghat and INS Veer, which I'm not talking about Indian Navy has 3 warships right now. These were the 3 warships which were used at that point of time, played an important role in this attack of Operation Trident. So anytime a question come, Operation Trident is related to which year? 1971. Operation Trident is related to Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, Indian Army. It is related to Indian Navy. Okay, good morning everyone. So moving further into this, the operation demonstrated growing might in the addition to being a major military triumph for the Indian Navy, and obviously over a period of time it has expanded. Yesterday we were talking about, Admiral Tripathi was talking that we would be getting 26 Rafale M. In yesterday Daily Decodes, we had covered the news that it was the first news related to Indian Navy in which the Admiral Tripathi, that is the topmost head or the top head of the Indian Navy, the Admiral of the Indian Navy, he had spoken about that we are getting 3 Scorpion submarines, plus we would be getting 26 Rafale M. M stands for Marine, Rafale M. And since Marine is a specialized version of Rafale planes, already we have the air versions which Indian Air Force has. Now we would also be getting the Marine version. So Indian Navy motto is Sun O Varun. That means that the god of water, Varuna, should be auspicious onto us. So this is the motto of the Indian Navy, which is Shan No Varuna. That means god of water, Varuna, should be auspicious onto us. Indian Navy history dates back to 1612, so you can trace back the Indian history. It goes back to East India Company, but rather if you talk about who is the father of Indian Navy, that is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Okay, so rather the Indian Navy history goes back very deep. But if we talk about the contemporary things which Indian Navy is doing, or the contemporary history, we can trace back to the East India Company, because we had around for more than 200 years Britishers were here. But if you talk about the father of Indian Navy, and if you see the insignia, the seal, lot of changes had happened, and a lot of inspiration came from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. He is also known as father of Indian Navy. Okay, so 1612, when the East India Company formed a maritime force to protect its interest, eventually this will become Royal Indian Navy, and Royal Indian Navy would be given the Indian Navy name in 1950 after India's independence. Okay, and this year theme, Indian Navy 2024 theme, this year theme of Indian Navy is strength and power through innovation and indigenization. Everywhere from engineering to economics to anywhere, you will continuously hear this word Atmanirbhar Bharat, Atmanirbhar, indigenization. If you go to America also, Trump had a campaign, MAGA campaign, that is Make America Great Again, that the manufacturing should happen in America. So this, if you see, even the developed world and developing countries are talking about that we should not be dependent on any other country for our imports, specifically China in this case, because that is the biggest exporter of goods and manufacturing goods, or even for that matter raw material, one of the biggest exporters. In this context, India is working on indigenization to make its own product. Then only you can become a developed country superpower, or on the path of that. You should be on the path of that. So in this context, Indian Navy is also talking about innovation and indigenization, innovation in technology, innovation in thought process, innovation in warfare, innovation in theaterization. That is your North Theatre Command, Western Theatre Command, Maritime Theatre Command, which is currently proposed with Northern Theatre Command. The base should be Lucknow. The Western Theatre Command, the base should be at Jaipur, countering Pakistan. Northern Theatre Command countering China and Chinese Western Theatre Command, which is basically deployed towards the Indian border, and the Maritime Theatre Command, where Indian Navy will play the most significant role for the towards the Indo-Pacific Ocean, or for that matter, even if the theatre extends to South China Sea, and taking care of China and other arch animals, not animals, arch enemies, I beg your pardon. Okay, arch enemies which can come and they can put a risk against India, or they can be a threat to India. So strength and power through innovation and indigenization, highlighting the Navy's commitment to self-reliance and technological advancement. To self-reliance and technological advancement, again the focus is not only that from the warfare point of view, from technology point of view, and most importantly weapons point of view, progress should be at a very rapid pace, and the progress should come from India. So currently we are not getting the Tejas engines, we are getting the Tejas engines from GE company, that is America. I'm talking about Indian Air Force. But the capability should be that we need to make our own engines. Today we are importing a lot of weapons from Scorpion to Rafale, M and everything. But focus should be that we create our own weapons, because a superpower is a country which is not dependent on any other country for its weapons. It creates its own weapons. And why it is important to create your own weapons? Because if you don't create your own weapons, tomorrow China is having a war. India is getting weapons from France, Russia or America, and we need more armaments, or we need more weapons. Suddenly China is able to pressurize these countries, or these three countries become friends of China, and they say we cannot give you these weapons. Like the same thing happened between India and Pakistan in 1999 Kargil war, when the Americans said that we will not be giving GPS system to us. Eventually we were able to create through indigenization. Navik was created. So, or for that matter, cryogenic engines, for that matter, hypersonic missiles, for that matter, the technology, dead hand protocol, which we were talking about, K4 missiles yesterday, that is your automatic retaliatory system. So we are working on this. Focus should be indigenization and creation of your own technology, and Indian Navy and certain groups under Indian Navy are working with a lot of startups to achieve this. Then you have World Wildlife Conservation Day. Before I make you understand this, it is important to remember United Nations also celebrates World Wildlife Day. That is on 3rd March. Okay, that is on 3rd March. That is a separate thing. So don't get confused. So World Wildlife Day under UN is celebrated on 3rd March. It is celebrated on 3rd March because Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Fauna and Flora was signed on this date in 73, 3rd March 1973 it was signed, and that is why World Wildlife Day is celebrated on 3rd March. Okay, now other important thing is that World Wildlife Conservation Day, this started from 2012. It started after 2010, and 4th of December has been recognized as World Wildlife Conservation Day. This honorary day was created in 2012 by then UN Secretary of State, that is Hillary Clinton, to raise awareness of issue including wildlife extinction, endangerment, global wildlife tracking, poaching, and that critically endangered animals and everything. So it was focusing on all those and what kind of conservation efforts can be taken. So this was the two important prelims facts which I wanted to discuss, and obviously it's Indian Navy Day, so we wanted to cover this in the start. Now we'll move towards our standard news. Okay, before I proceed further, I would also want to know what is your thought process. Many people have started writing now comments when the session is over, or when you are do put your comments after class is over. And first of all, do like the session, do share the session, please press the bell icon, and the link of the PDF, if it is not right now available, later it would be added. Please put your comments, it is very important. That is what motivates us. Around I see 20-25 people every day coming and live. Your comments are very important. I would like to ask that Indian Defence Forces are working on this indigenization. But we are still buying a lot of weapons from outside. What is your thought? What can we do, or what should be our process so that most of the weapons which we today are buying, from fighter planes to other things, how can we develop in India? Please do share your thought process. So the next important news is India, China have set to on the right track, obviously. So we, at Daily Decodes, we cover international relations. I should firmly say, when it comes to daily news analysis from polity to Indian, from IR, we are covering everything in very thorough detail, including the editorials, obviously in the stipulated time. So India-China relations, we had covered about India-China relations with the 16th BRICS summit happened. We had covered what happened in Galwan, what was the issue of Galwan, and eventually a meeting happened around October 21st, 22nd at 16th BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia, where India and China had a first formal meeting after a long period of time, rather a post Galwan if I talk about. Prior to that, we had two informal meetings with China when the Prime Minister Modi had traveled to 2018 in Wuhan for a summit, and at that point of time in 2019, President Xi Jinping had traveled to Mamlapuram, and there was a lot of camaraderie. But in 2020, as it is a dragon with a forked tongue, it was, they backstabbed us and they gave Galwan. So from that time of Galwan to today in 2024 in October at 16th BRICS summit in Kazan, the formal summit when it happened, the Prime Minister Modi kept on saying mutual trust, respect, mutual trust and respect. So disengagement has also started at Depsang and the other important conflicting points, and disengagement has been completed now. Then later would be focused on de-escalation and then de-induction and normalization of relationship. This is the standard formula which would be done. Now this entire thing which I'm telling you, so External Affairs Minister basically told these things in Parliament, that what we have been able to achieve, what is our agenda, and the relationship with this, with China is complex. And even in the Parliament, he also mentioned that China has illegally taken the Aksai Chin territory, which happened after the 1962 war, and how we lost it, and what were the, he didn't go into the politics of that time, but he did say that Aksai Chain, it is an illegal area which has been claimed and taken over by China. So this were important statements which was said by him. So, but more on the positive side, disengagement along the line of actual control, significant diplomatic milestones have been achieved. China is talking about more more about visa, journalists traveling from each side, plus opening of Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, and better and trade ties between both the countries, and direct flights which have been stopped. So we are working on this, but I think when you go with China, you need to be cautiously optimistic. You need to be cautiously optimistic with China, because China is a dragon with a forked tongue. Don't trust them immediately, because their economy is right now not in the correct shape. Trump is coming talking about 25%, 66% tariffs and whatnot. So in this context, China might be secluded right now in one corner because of their, if you say their real estate is coming down, they would not be able to achieve their GDP numbers. And in this context, when their economy is not doing, they might be changing their stance. They might be needing India at this point of time. So we need to take the benefit of this Chinese atmosphere, but be very selective and be very attentive and be very cautiously optimistic about China. Okay. So what happened in Galwan? April 2020, they attacked, they came with their troops, they started claiming the area. The major the problem or the contention was Daulat Beg Goldi Road, because we were constructing our highways connecting the mainstream areas to border areas, so that the deployment of our troops, arms, ammunition happens at a very rapid pace. China was not expecting this. When this happened, it eventually leads to the Galwan clashes, because once our roads are have been created, we can decimate or we can fight easily with China. We can also target the areas, because since we are on the higher mountain elevation, we can also easily target the Aksai Chin or the Xinjiang Tibet highway, or for that matter, we can also target the roads or the CPEC which is going through Gilgit-Baltistan. I am not saying that we would be targeting it, but we would have the capability, because we would be on highest, higher mountain elevation, and road connectivity to this mountain elevation will give a natural advantage to us. And this is what China did not expect, because they thought Indians are never building road, though they started building their road somewhere in 1960s. And that this Xinjiang Tibet highway, this is one of the reasons when 1962 war also happens. Anyways, so in Galwan Valley it happens, 2020, the clashes happens, we lose 20 soldiers, Chinese lose more than 40-45 soldiers, but they never publish these numbers, because it is Xi Jinping is a kind of dictator, and he will make sure that the media never comes up with these news which shows that the Chinese PLA lost it. And eventually the other international media houses from America, Australia, they were able to verify they had lost more than 20, 30, 40 soldiers Okay, but they only said they only claimed around 3 or 4. So the period disrupted patrolling activity, destabilized the peace agreements and the relationship between India and China post Galwan, that is April 2020, went downhill, and the from banning of Chinese app to flights, everything was not working in India-China favor. But if you see this year, China has again become India's biggest trading partner, and we are trying to resolve the issue. Now, it is very easy for us that, that the disengagement happened, but for this disengagement, a lot of effort was taken. 17 diplomatic meetings happened, 21 military meetings happened. So effort of this around 38 meetings and multiple meetings even outside that, when external affairs Mr. Jaishankar is meeting Wang Yi of Wang Yi, which is the foreign minister of China for that matter, or national security advisor meeting Wang Yi and the counterparts, then eventually we were able to come to this. So 17 working mechanism for cooperation and coordination, WMCC, which works between India and China. 21 senior highest military commander, that is HMC. So we have WMCC and SHMC, wherever there's a problem or if we need to discuss between India and China, we can use this. So troops at Demchok and Depsang, now they are disengaging. They have disengaged, resolution of all friction points. Indian Chinese forces conducted ground verification to verify it also. So EM has affirmed disengagement had been fully achieved with de-escalation and management of the border areas. So disengagement has happened. Now it would be de-escalation, that the number of troops would be eventually, they would be try to reduce, conflict of spectrum would be reduced, and finally de-induction, when you would be removing troops, obviously a lot of trust and verification would be need to done. Once they are removed, then we can have normalization of the border areas and relationship. So meeting happened, this I have already told you, EM Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in July 2024, National Security Advisor Doval discussion with Wang Yi in September 2024, and then bilateral meeting between PM Modi and President Xi Jinping. EM emphasized firm and principled approach, ensuring India's national security remain intact. So these are the meetings. This was what happened in background. In October month, we had discussed this. So today's daily decode is only making you revise what has happened in the past, so that you are up to date on Indo-China relationship. So two important comment has come: increased joint venture between private companies and forest defense cooperation. Yes, that's one of the ways to do indigenization. Good point. And also, if we can include top schools like IITs and IASC, and rather the tier B, tier 2 and tier 3 engineering schools or STEM schools or colleges, they should be pushed more into R&D, and right amount of funds would be given. Like today we have one nation, one subscription, a good step, but apart from that, Indian government also needs to spend money on R&D. Next is Bhuvan saying invest money in defense projects and defense research, especially for key component, instead of directly procuring from foreign investment. Increase defense budget. Bhuvan, wonderful comments given by Bhuvan on this. How can we increase this? Those are very good comments, Bhuvan. And once the lecture is also over, please share whatever views you have in a comment. Thank you very much for this. And now, three key principles of India's approach: both sides must strictly respect and observe the LAC. No unilateral attempts to alter the status quo, which Chinese did in Kalwan. No, full adherence to past agreements and understanding, and we already had agreements with China, like 1993 agreement of peace and tranquility between India and China. 1996 we started confidence building measures agreement. 2013 border defense cooperation agreement. So if you see, these two are good prelims question. So three key principles of India's approach, prelims, which external affairs minister told in the parliament. So three key principles, and this is the agreement which he recounted in the parliament. This can come as a prelims question, match the following, etc. So they can put CBM in 1993 or border defense cooperation agreement in 1996 and ask you a question. So this agreement underscores the elaborate framework developed to maintain peace, which was severely disrupted in April 2020. So we had agreements. It was the China which broke the status quo. It was the China which did the stabbing of India, and eventually we all know what happened later. So buffer zone is something, the disengagement process has led to creation of buffer zone. So buffer zone is an area where neither India is entering, neither China is entering. So critics is saying because of this buffer zones, India is not able to go to those previous patrolling points which they were able to go. So eventually this dismantling of buffer zones will also happen. That is also in the that is also in a streamlining process should happen. Restoration of status quo ante, that is pre 2020 status should be achieved. Some satellite images on X, that time Twitter was showing that China has taken some land, but later it has been verified by the government not an inch of land was taken. Rest, we need to, eventually whatever the data government says, we need to believe that, or we need to agree with that, because multiple reports from the government has come, and now government has again verified that we did not lose any land, though critics might have a different opinion on this. So future prospects, troop withdrawal from buffer zone should happen, establishing robust mechanism for future skirmishes. Special representative meeting should happen between external affairs minister and the foreign minister so that the trade and other relation can be enhanced, and de-escalation, de-induction and normalization of relationship happen. Balancing national security and diplomacy. While emphasizing diplomacy, India remains steadfast in safeguarding territorial integrity and strategic stability. That it is good that we want to have good diplomatic relation, but at the same time, please don't forget that even if this disengagement has happened, Aksai Chin is still an illegal area which is taken by China, and our focus should be that with trade and other things, we also should engage how to get back that land also. So a prelims question. Agreement on maintenance of peace and tranquility, correct, 1993. 1996 confidence building measures, CBMs, correct. Border defense cooperation agreement. So WMCC and SHMC are recent mechanism established in 2024 to handle border tension. Obviously this statement is correct. If it's 17 and 21 meetings have happened, so how can these 17 and 21 meetings started, after 2020, not 2024. So fourth statement is correct. So the WMCC, if you see, it was around 2012, SHMG existed prior to 2024, both of them. What is WMCC? Working mechanism for cooperation and coordination. SHMC is senior highest military commanders. Okay, and this is a mains question, you can go through this. Let's go to the next important news, that is Dhaka summons Indian envoy after the breach at the mission. Now, Dhaka, if I talk about, Dhaka is a hypocritic, Dhaka is the capital. Bangladesh is a hypocritic country. So much of vandalism has happened and so much of Hindu minorities have been killed. There are multiple verified and legit videos which are now available. In their universities, their videos, they are all on internet where, outside that university, on the road, Indian flag has been painted, and I think even Israel flag was painted, if I am correct. So they were traveling. But same thing, if the vandalization happens, in India, which I am not supporting, it should happen. Then rather than, why don't you first control what the vandalism happening in your country, how the minority communities target, rather they are talking that the minority in India is not safe. So even, for example, even if I agree that minorities in India are not safe, even if I blatantly agree to your whatever you are saying, then also two wrongs will not make one thing right. So even if I agree, so rather than focusing on your vandalism, your hypocrisy, you are trying to make friends with Pakistan, which is already a chaotic country like yours. And in this violent and turmoil time of Bangladesh, rather than focusing on stabilizing relationship, they are only criticizing. So this shows a huge amount of hypocrisy of Bangladesh, and which is being led by Muhammad Yunus and nothing else. And all those student leaders who wanted to do a revolution, now they are sitting on a pile of important seats and they don't want to leave these powerful seats. Muhammad Yunus said that within 4 to 6 months he will do elections in Bangladesh. But right now he's talking about it might take 4 years to do election. Rather than focusing on development of Bangladesh, which he could not, he's focusing on getting Sheikh Hasina. He's focusing on releasing BNP leaders. He's focusing on removing the ban against Jamaat-e-Islami. He's focusing on putting a ban on ISKCON, which was not done, and Chinmoy Das is already in the jail. So that is his focus. He's a Nobel Peace Laureate. We thought he'll do economic development like he did with Grameen Bank and microfinance, which he introduced and which was a great thing. But his focus is on all these extreme right-wing thoughts, and focuses on that, so that the people of Bangladesh don't talk about the real issues of unemployment, economy. The ready-made garment industry in Bangladesh has absolutely collapsed. It has absolutely collapsed. The orders which used to come from Marks and Spencer and Zara to Bangladesh for this garment industry. Now they are being shifted to India or some other country. So their economy has tanked, their economy is down the drains, and the people are unemployed. And since these are unemployed people, it is easily to radicalize. In the last couple of months, if you see, in Bangladesh, only focus is protest, killing of people, or subjugating the minority community, or minority community doing protest or asking for Sheikh Hasina extradition. Where is the development happening? And if the development is happening on international relation, that is they want to re-establish the relationship with Pakistan. Please remember, the Pakistan was the real subjugator of Bangladesh. It was their Operation Searchlight, in which they raped so many Bangladeshi women, killed so many Bangladeshi people with the help of Jamaat-e-Islami, which is a right-wing terrorist organization. And first thing which Muhammad Yunus does is that liberating this organization. And he is liberating this organization. He is forgot about Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, how the liberation of 1971 war happened. So father of Bangladesh, the statue is down, everything is down. So this country seems to be going to I should not use these kind of words, but there is no stability. It's going down under the drains. Okay, so this is what is happening. Can you all also share your thought? What do you think? What is happening in Bangladesh? But what do you feel about it? So Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh summoned Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. So Commonwealth countries, we have these High Commissioners. Pranay Verma to address the concerns over security breach at Assistant High Commissioner of Bangladesh in Agartala. There were protest and vandalism at the mission, which led to suspension of consular and visa services and intensified diplomatic discussions between India and Bangladesh. So we are not supporting what is happening in Agartala, or with what happened in Tripura. We need to understand that what is the reason behind it, why it is happening. The reason is Bangladesh. The reason is Bangladesh, how you are dealing with Bangladesh, how you are subjugating the minority there, or the Hindus there, or Bengalis there. Now the problem is, this started when Bangladesh, after 6 or 7 months, these people in India have started protesting. Initially they were not protesting, but over a period of time, when Bangladeshi interim government or this advisory government has not taken steps, this has led to this problem. Bangladeshis are the real culprits. If they or not, I don't mean to say all Bangladeshi people, their government, interim government, which is not taking any action. So protests broke in Bangladesh mission in Agartala, desecrated the Bangladesh flag. Now why this flag is desecrated? Because Indian flag has been desecrated 100 and 200 times, more than so many times in Bangladesh. They keep on doing it, they keep on giving statements. So this was a revert back action by a crowd. So how the crowd is behaving in Bangladesh, which has not been controlled, similarly the crowd behave in Agartala. Now what happened in this Agartala is not correct. It should not be done. And Indian government will make sure that this does not happen. But did the similar kind of statements came from Bangladesh to control the people? Rather, they were using their police for beating the Hindu minority when they were doing a protest. So, double standards have been shown by Bangladesh. So, protests were reportedly against the arrest of Chinmoy Das, ISKCON monk, and ISKCON, they were trying to ban it. That is a sedition organization. Incident triggered sharp reactions from Dhaka, leading to suspension of visa. So, if Dhaka is, suspending visa, they are not America, okay? Or they are not, for that matter, even Canada. With Canada is now taking a U-turn, so Bangladesh should realize that they are dependent on India. And if they want to sit in the lap of China or Pakistan, nothing will happen. Pakistan is sitting in the lap of China, and they have given Gwadar, and they are already under the debt of Soman. Sri Lanka also tried to do the same thing. What is happening with Sri Lanka? They gave Hambantota, and now Anura Dissanayake has to revive the economy and has taken the IMF bailout money. So if Bangladesh, Muhammad Yunus Singh is thinking that he will take help from Pakistan or China and revive it, sorry to say this, that is not going to happen. Rather, you should focus on what is happening, what will happen on 20th January, when things will become very tough for Bangladesh. Anyways, acting foreign secretary, now he is acting, I don't know how many months he will be acting only. Riaz Hamiduddin met Indian High Commissioner to convey Bangladesh concerns, security situation, and express displeasure of the vandalism. Please get to know why vandalism is happening. I am not justifying the vandalism. It is absolutely wrong. But real reason is what is happening in Bangladesh. If Bangladesh resolves and sorts its problem in Bangladesh, then this all would be taken care of. This all would get resolved automatically. Okay, Nahid Islam, he's always in the news. He said, condemned the incident, criticized India's ruling elite, that we are ruling elite. Now, okay, how does India's ruling elite for fostering? Like we are putting anti-Bangladesh statements. We don't need to do what you are doing against the minority community and what the statements are coming. Some days back, there was a news that, we will become an Islamic country. So all these news come from Bangladesh. No development is happening. When, for that matter, when Sheikh Hasina was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, there was healthy relation. That time, these big protests, we never heard of it. This kind of vandalism, we never heard of it. It is, what Bangladesh started, it is the repercussion or it is the ripple effect of what is happening. And I'm very sure the government would be able to stop. See, these kind of images are there. And from one of the news channels I was able to, so they have, Indian flag has been made like this, university students and people are walking over it. So these images got circulated and that is why the, vandalism started. So what happened in Agartala is absolutely wrong. But what is the reason behind it? That also needs to be understood. Okay. So diplomatic statement has come from both sides. Protest against atrocities targeting Hindu in Bangladesh erupted in Agartala, Assam, West Bengal. Groups like Sanatani, Yuba is also fighting on this. Similar protests were organized by Congress members in Guwahati. So just see, it is not only the, the current dispensation, everywhere they're talking about it. And we have been able to get the legitimate and authentic video data, which is not doctored in nature. Okay. Bangladesh also getting support from China, which is destabilizing relation. Also rise of Islamic separatist and terrorist committing horrific acts and seriously affecting India's security. Bhuvan, you are absolutely correct on this issue. Okay. And Mamata Banerjee has given a statement that Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee for her call to deploy UN forces in Bangladesh. Now see, these statements are coming across the political spectrum in India, coming from, say, if we say in the center it is the BJP-led government. Now we all know what kind of relationship Bengal, at least in politics, Mamata Banerjee is currently having with the current NDA government. Obviously, there's a bit of tiff there, though they can resolve it over a period of time, or they are trying to resolve. Now, Mamata Banerjee is also giving a strong statement. Congress is also giving a strong statement. The current government is also giving a strong statement. If, there is so much of smoke coming, there has to be a fire, and there is certainly a fire. What is happening in Bangladesh? Rather than resolving these problems, so they are trying to counter it. So, Islam emphasized interconnected stability of both nations and criticized West Bengal's Chief Minister's statement that UN forces should be deployed. You need to understand why she is saying the statement. She is giving the statement. Maybe the statement is not correct. But if you resolve the issue, the West Bengal Chief Minister won't be saying anything. Okay. So Indian authorities have deployed CRPF, Tripura State Rifles. See, we have started our steps. Now Bangladesh should also focus and resolve this minority and the crisis which Bangladesh is going. Otherwise, it is already impacting the bilateral relationship, and political and communal tensions have come inside it, and it would affect people-to-people ties. So the breach highlights vulnerability in security area. Yes, we definitely agree that this should have not happened in the Agartala. But at the same time, if there is a breach of the High Commission out here, that means on the other side in Bangladesh, entire breach is happening in the country, which they also need to take care of. So broader geopolitical context, anti-Bangladesh rhetoric and tensions during Bangladesh politically volatile and violent and interim government phase where minorities are being targeted. So I'm not saying the government is violent, I'm basically saying the majority community is violent, protests are happening, and this interim government is not able to tackle it. So the politically violent here basically is about how they are not able to control the majority, or this violent protests which are happening and how they are subjugating the minority community. So as Dhaka undergoes a period of political transition, maintaining stable and constructive relationship is important, but this kind of positive step should also come from Bangladesh also. Already we are helping Bangladesh. If we go back, see, we are already helping Bangladesh in strengthening bilateral ties, in trade, power transmission, supply of essential commodities, even in these times when they are trying to be, they are trying to backstab us, and when they are trying, the situation in Bangladesh is bad, rather they are acting like a snake against us, they are trying to bite us, and we are still helping. And if a problem is there in country, when we ask why this problem is happening, they say that mind your own business. When something happens in India, then rather than saying that this is India's internal affair, When we ask something, they say it is Bangladesh internal affair. So similarly, if something happens in India, that should be India's internal affair. So, you cannot say that both two wrongs are right. Okay, that will not happen. If it happens in your country, it's your internal business. When it happens in India, India could have also said it is India's internal business. Rather, we are trying to resolve the issue. So that is a mindset about developing and a democratic nation. Okay. So let's move to next important news. Before I proceed for that news, important announcement, OGP 2026 batch would be starting on 2nd December 2025. For all details, you can scan this QR code. You will get the link of this course in description also. The number to call is 80 69 40 5205. The OGP 2026 course is under the guidance of founder and director of Insights IAS, Vinay Sir. It would be a full-fledged integrated classroom program for fresher. It includes GS, General Studies, CSAT, essay, daily and weekly revision test, and everything what you want to know about the course. It is a thorough course. It is the topmost course for your UPSC preparation. If you are looking for one stop for your UPSC preparation, this is the place to be. And rest of the details regarding price and everything and discount has been given here. Till 20th of December, you can also avail 10% discount. And scan this QR code for all details. Now let's move to next important news, that is Centre proposes 95 government job reservation for locals in Ladakh. So finally a positive meeting has happened with the Ladakhis and the central government. It was kind of turmoil was going between two, from Sonam Wangchuk sitting on that, that strike of his that he will not be eating food, and so many Ladakhis came with him. Eventually a positive, him and many others were doing it here. Finally, we have been able to move towards the positive development, and Centre has proposed 95% reservation for locals in Ladakh. For Ladakhi jobs, locals, 95% reservation. 1/3 reservation for women in Hill Council, a very positive step from the women empower point of view, and assurances of land related safeguards. Again, so significant measures to address. So this is again, this is a proposal. It has not been implemented. There would be discussion and finally it will come. So proposal were discussed with the lay apex body, that is LAB, and KDA, Kargil Democratic Alliance, which are the two important bodies which were present in the meetings to put forth the Ladakhi people problem. And from the other side, from central side, the ministers were sitting to listen and resolve the issues. So this has been done by 95% reservation to, there's a huge problem of unemployment, because after 2019 when abrogation of 370 happened, Ladakhis were very happy at that point of time. But later there has been no gazetted post recruitment. And there's a proposal also that from DANIPS, the gazetted recruitment will happen through Jammu and Kashmir Jammu and Kashmir Civil Services examination, like a PCS examination. No gazetted post recruitment has happened after the abrogation of 370 and the creation of two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, which was done. So that is also spoken about, that would be starting soon. Recruitment of gazette post would be done from Jammu and Kashmir Public Service Commission, rather than DANICS, I mean to say, Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar Island Civil Services. This marks the beginning of a significant recruitment drive, and Ladakh has not seen any gazetted recruitment after 2019. MHA plans to draft constitutional safeguard to preserve Ladakhi culture and language. Very important. Ladakhi culture and language is very important. It's different. And if you get a chance to go to Ladakh, you will see it. There are so many, you will meet so many monks out there, and the temples out there, the Buddhist temples out there. So there's a very specific culture there, and they have a demand that Ladakhis are also asking for, that they should be given a tribal status so that they can conserve their culture, ethnicity and related things. Urdu and Bhoti were declared official languages of Ladakh, that is with recommendation to include Purgi, Sheena, Balti as additional languages. So Urdu and Bhoti, the official languages of Ladakh, with recommendation to include Purgi, Sheena and Balti. A review of 22 pending laws will be for local empowerment and land related concerns. The next meeting would be happening in January 15, 2025. So the issues which could not be resolved in this meeting would be done by January 2025. But this was a huge relief to these both the groups which came from Ladakh, and they were very happy about it. 1/3 of reservation of women in Hill Council of Leh and Kargil for improving gender representation. The women who was representing this was Dolma ji. Then historical perspective, Ladakh lost its special constitutional status. We have done this. We have done major demands of Ladakhi people are first and most important. Give them statehood for Ladakh. I think that will take time. Second is that inclusion under the 6th schedule of constitution, what they for their tribal protection and their culture and their rights. Job reservation for locals, on which the deal has almost been done. 95% reservation is a huge number. Special parliamentary seats for Leh and Kargil. So I think remaining matters, the discussion might get completed by January 15, 2025. So assurances have been given from the center, like 6th schedule, they would be discussing for the tribal point of view in January 2025 meeting, which would happen on January 15th. Budget utilization issues were acknowledged with promise of increasing local bureaucratic involvement. That means more Ladakhi people in the local bureaucracy. So since they understand and because many times the infrastructure project stops and Ladakh infrastructure projects is needed because things in Kargil and Ladakh are very far away. Any distance in Ladakh is like 150 kilometers. So I have traveled to Ladakh and around for 8-9 days I was there. And it's a wonderful city, beautiful place, I rather should say. When I talk about Leh and the other areas, I was able to go to different places. But again, distance is huge and construction is needed. Civil society reactions were, they were optimism about the proposal, highly productive. So very good things happening in the meeting, positive news coming. So Indo-China things are improving. It's the Dhaka, would I say, it's not a very great positive news, but this is certainly. So regions reliance on contractual employment and educated youth jobless, this can be countered by this reservation of jobs. Lack of local bureaucrats is a problem, and sixth schedule inclusion, that will be that meeting will happen on 15 January 2025. Local bureaucrats need to be there so that more Ladakhi people get the job and infrastructure completion happens. So these are the next step which will happen on this meeting. And regarding the budget, currently this immediate recruitment process and budget adjustment, they would provide some relief, and rest major decisions would be taken on 15 January 2025. So you can go through this main question. Let's move to the editorial. Jyoti, I think everyone is able to understand. That is why they are able to put the comments. What you can do is that you can, in YouTube, there is an option that you can reduce the speed. You can put at 0.5x or 0.75x. If you are not able to catch the English language, then you can reduce the speed. Or if you are having a problem in the language analysis, you can also use the captions. Otherwise, if there is something which you did not understand, I would be, I would help you, because all students come see people are writing comments. Obviously, they are understanding it. Okay, rest of you, what do you think about this Ladakh issue? Are we on the right track? Do you think right step has been taken by the government? Please share your analysis. Okay, now let's go to the next news. Preparing for worst Cyclone Fengal. Its effect were on in Bangalore also. The weather became cold, and so obviously here only the weather was there. But when you talk about Tamil Nadu, a lot of destruction happened out there. So Cyclone Fengal brought unprecedented devastation of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, underlying the growing threat of extreme weather events which are increasing like anything. This is not one aberration. If you see, number of tropical cyclones are increasing, greenhouse gases, warming of temperature is major reason, because when you talk about tropical cyclone, they need a certain standard of temperature, 25-27 degrees above, and when this temperature is there, or when the global because of greenhouse gas emission, GHGs, the global warming is happening, temperature is increasing, this lead to more tropical cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons, whichever is dependent on this temperature, and that is why this is happening. Even the cyclones and typhoons, they are able to reach Shanghai, which they never used to reach, but it is happening. They have increased, and this will only lead to destruction of property and death of people. So cyclone which made landfall near Puducherry on 30th November left a trail of destruction affecting millions, causing significant loss of life and property, and huge amount of money would be needed to reinvest again, so that this life and property, life cannot come back, but at least property infrastructure would be created. So disaster highlights the urgent need for proactive measure to mitigate the impact of such events which are now constantly happening either on the western coast or on the eastern coast. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin reported 7 million families and 15 million individuals have been affected. Cyclone claimed 16 lives. Heavy rainfall 40 to 50 centimeter in a single day submerged 2.21 hectares of farmland, and that's a problem. When the farmland is gone, whatever has been, whatever has been sown or should be harvested, that has gone, including 10,000 hectares in Puducherry. The flood in South Pennai River flow typically remains dry. It used to be dry, but it was added to devastation with a flow of 2.4 lakh cusecs. So this immense amount of water which is coming, rainfall is coming, this is only going towards destruction. And this amount of this agricultural land which has been lost, this will also add to more repercussions for the state's budget and state's economy. Now, Tamil Nadu government is asking for 2,000 crore. Puducherry has announced a relief package of 210 crore. So they again see this amount of money could have been saved if we had more better mitigation methods. Okay, so now devastation in urban and rural areas highlighted vulnerabilities in infrastructure and disaster preparedness. Geographical spread of impact: while the cyclone later weakened, crossed coastal Karnataka, Puducherry and northern and western Tamil Nadu bore the brunt of disaster. That is, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry is where the major destruction happened. Chennai though spared this time, but it's not a guarantee that Chennai would be saved next time also. So in this entire context, there is an increasing frequency of cyclone. A 2022 India Meteorological Department report predicts an average of 4 cyclonic storms or depression affecting the southern peninsula each season. That means you're expecting 4 cyclones every time, so you need to be prepared about it. Past instances like Kailal, Pattanam and Thothugudi receiving 95 centimeter of rainfall in 2023 mirror the heavy rainfall examples. Then rising frequency intensity of cyclones are linked to climate change, I've explained, and increasing the likelihood of very high rainfall event and associated flooding. You are also getting snowfall in Sahara, and you are getting floods in those areas which you never expect. This is what is happening in climate change. When the climate change meeting happened at the COP29 Baku, Azerbaijan, and we needed funds of $1.3 trillion each year to save, the funds are not coming. Only $300 billion will come in some time, and we don't even know when. So obviously, when you are not working on this, then these things will happen, and eventually countries are ready. When a destruction happens, they will take care of it or want to take care of it because they don't have an option. But rather than being proactive and solve the climate change, I don't think so they are working on that. Climate change regions, densely populated cities and agricultural zones. These are the most vulnerable areas. Coastal regions, people living in coastal region, densely populated cities where the population is very high. It's not easy that people leave their homes and which they have been staying for 10, 15, 20 years, their jobs, and change the city. And agricultural land which will go. Okay. So these are very vulnerable. So mitigation. First of all, Advisory Committee of Mitigation and Management of Flood Risk in Chennai metropolitan area. This was a report which was led by V. Thiru Puguza, which has not been made open. You know, it has not been released. This report should be released, and steps and recommendation which has been given by this report should be implemented. Strengthening bunds and levees, regular silt removal from water courses, controlling encroachment of water bodies, disaster resilient infrastructure, efficient drainage system. Until unless you don't do this solution, the problem will only increase. You need to take the mitigation steps. Otherwise, every time the cyclone will come, floods will happen and destruction will happen. Okay. So this is what is exactly happening. This is the solution which we need. Community engagement, awareness needs to be done. Proactive governance policy. So we cannot just take pride in this age-old irrigation management. It is insufficient. We need to invest in modern technology. We need to make climate resilient action plan so that we can mitigate, and if there is challenge coming from climate change, at least on the Indian level, state level, central level, we are able to tackle it, and central and state collaboration needs to be there so that we can resolve this issue. Okay, so Cyclone Fengal serves as stark reminder, threat posed by extreme weather events. The government must prioritize long-term resilience measures. There is no doubt about it. Short-term relief methods, or short-term relief measures also, and how in long-term we can tackle it. Climate change accelerating preparedness and sustainable development projects should be put in action so that we can tackle these kind of problems. So this is the main question. Please go through it. Cyclone Fengal, which has done a destruction in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, very, very important. In tidbits, we have President gives away award for empowering disabled. These are National Award for Empowerment of Person with Disabilities given to 22 individuals and 11 institutions. Then we have National Achievement Survey to assess 23 lakh student. This is around 23 lakh student of approximately 88,000 schools in 782 districts will be covered in Parakh Rashtriya Sarvekshan 2024 or National Achievement Survey, and this would be done. The student will be assessed in the subject of language, mathematics and the world around us, science and other things. Then in the next is China bans exports of gallium, germanium and antimony to US. This is basically that since Washington has expanded list of Chinese companies to export controls, and again this is already the beginning of a trade war which will happen. So China is taking has already thrown the gauntlet. Even they did the same thing in opening a port in Lima at the APEC summit. Now this is the second thing which is coming. Okay, they banning germanium antimony to the US because US has taken the Chinese companies, expanded the list of Chinese companies subject to export controls. Okay, registration under PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, which focuses on achieving 1 crore rooftop solar institution in residential sectors, has increased to 1.45 crores. So good news coming. And finally, we have the extra mile. Please go through what are the controversies of around pardoning part. This is related to Joe Biden has given pardon to his own son. From that point of view, this news has come. So he has given an unconditional pardon to his son Hunter Biden, who faced sentencing for federal tax and gun conviction. So he said, "You are my son, given it." So that is what basically has happened. And then on World Wildlife Day, that is World Wildlife Conservation Day, that 4th of December, World Wildlife UN Day, that is celebrated on 3rd March. To protect India's critically endangered species, you can go through this article also. So, and the course start on 2nd January 2025. You can call on this number for details, and do watch ICANN 2.0 of Sapna ma'am, which happens on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Thank you very much. And it was lovely again connecting with you, a detailed and a very thorough session today. And please share your views and comments like how are you understanding. We are trying to give you the entire matrix of news, information, and editorials. Thank you very much. Please like the session, please share the session, and most importantly, press the bell icon, and please put your comments, and you will get the PDF later. If the link is not available in the description, it will come to you. So I'll check a comment. So a comment has been come. Okay, 2-3 comments have come. When cyclone comes, this maintained everything. The life of people are very affected. They feel helpless in disaster. Why these disaster come? So district collector, okay, you are already a district collector. Why they are happening is already covered because how tropical cyclones happen, that you can study in geography, but they're increasing because of climate change, which encompasses global warming. Also, the temperature is increasing. When temperature is increasing, it basically helps in forming of tropical cyclone becomes more easier. Since because of climate change, global warming, or the overall temperature of Earth is rising, this rise of temperature over, see for example, if you talk about tropical cyclones, I think they need more than 25, 27 kind of degrees, if I'm correct, which I remember. So if the overall temperature is rising, it will only help in more cyclones. Okay, and that is what is exactly helping. Next, they should invest in similar system similar to Japan's GE-CAN storm drain. The worst, everything is everywhere. What you see in Cyclone Fengal, what are you thinking about this cyclone? Please tell us. No, obviously, I've already shared my views on Fengal, that this is a huge amount of destruction. It is not only happening on the western coast, it has happened on eastern coast because of a lot of cyclone. Now, Odisha is already prepared, they have early warning systems preparedness. Similar kind of things also need to be done by the western coastal states, and the effort should come from both state and central governments. Okay, is there any more comment? So yes, tropical cyclone, I'm correct, it's around 27 degrees is needed. Thank you very much. Take care, Jai Hind, and please put your lovely comments in the once the video is over. Thank you very much. Take care.